Okay, let's look at the warning that we get now. It says, note ArrayList Example.java uses unchecked or unsafe operations. Recompile with blah, blah, blah. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get rid of my array example from last video. And let's look specifically at this. Well, in ArrayList, you can add anything you want. So for example, I can, let's add a string. So let's change this down so it's only adds a couple of numbers. There we go, 0 through 9. And then, because we can, we'll add al.add a string. All right. So we're going to go ahead and print this out. And look at that. 0 through 9 and a string. I can also add al.add true. I can add a Boolean here. I can add anything I want, which is, in terms of software engineering, not a good idea. We can get really confused. For example, I'm printing this all out, but what if I thought everything in my array list was an integer, and I wanted to multiply everything? So I'm going to get it right here, and then I'm going to multiply everything times 5. Well, that'll work fine for 0 through 9, but how do you multiply a string? So this compiles great. It then is like, bad operand. Well, I can get around with that. So I'll just say, okay, well, no problem. I'll say, I added an int, I'll get an int. So num equals al.get sub I. No problem. And then I'll just multiply my num times 5 here. All right, here we go. Compile that. And it's like, incompatible types. Object cannot be converted to int. It's like object. Object? What? Well, if you remember from inheritance, every class inherits originally from object. Huh. Well, that's cool, but how is this useful? So the way that this raw array list works is that it converts everything, integers, strings, everything into an object. So really what I have to do is I have to convert this to an object. And then it's like, cool, I've got an object, but you know what? I can't multiply an object times 5, and it's just so frustrating. So what I want to do here is I'm going to say, I'm going to skip this whole thing. I'm not going to bother with objects. I'm just going to say, hey, everything that I have to add has to be an integer. All things I'm adding has to be an integer. All things are going to get from it have to be an integer. Everything's going to be an integer. Just the way it is. So I'm going to compile that, and oh, cool. Wow, all right. So now it's saying I can't add a string, which is good. I don't want to add strings to an array list that can only be integers, all right? And then, of course, same thing. I can't add a Boolean. So when I use these brackets, it's called generics. So I have an array list of any type until I put in this little bracket and say, I want it to be of a specific type. If I had a point class, it could be of type point. If I had a scanner class, it could be of type scanner. It could be of type string. It could be anything I want. But once I have specified that this is of type integer, nothing else could be anything else. So I can do this, cool, and I can finally multiply everything. Ta-da! I multiply everything times 5. 0 times 5 is 0. 1 times 5 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10, so forth. Pretty cool. I can also, let's just make another one. Array list of type, actually, let's not do that yet. Let's have here, let's keep al, array list, but instead of messing with adding it ourselves, I created a file. So scanner n equals new scanner, new file, and I called it numbers.txt. Not very original. I'm not going to bother with my try catch right now, so I'm going to do throws, file not found exception. There we go. All right. Sounds good. Oh, I didn't spell that right. And I need to import java.io.star. All right, good. I need to make that file, not files. All right, we're ready to go. That's gonna open it. Now while n.has next int, I'm gonna just add everything in here. So al.add n.next int. All right, that might be too many steps for you all at once. So let's do int next number equals n.next int, and that will get the next integer from the file, which is good. I always like getting that. So al.add next number. So what is this doing? We don't really know how big this file is. We know that it's all integers. That's all we know. So let's suppose somebody sent us this file for us to analyze, and they're all integers. We have no idea what it is. For example, we might work for a company and sales data. Sales data doesn't make any sense that it's integer, but whatever. Most likely it'd be doubles. But maybe it's the number of cars that each salesman sold. You can only have integers for cars. You don't sell 3.4 cars, so maybe that makes sense now. All right, so it's the number of sales of cars or whatever you want to make up. But we don't know how many numbers are in there, so we're just going to keep adding them until we're done with the file. And then we'll go ahead and print it. We don't need to bother multiplying anything. So let's go ahead and print that. And next, oh, I missed a parentheses here. Thank you, compiler. All right, let's run that, and ta-da! That is, in fact, the contents of my file, which is pretty cool. And if we didn't know how big it was, it would just work fine. So that's one reason we use array lists, is when we have no idea how big it is. And we still want to list the same type. So now that we have added generics here, we can make it so that we only have one type. Here's another example, array list, and we can do string. I'm going to call it strs equals new array list of type string. And now we can only add strings here. So strs.add. And we might want to add 5. Is that going to work for us? Nope. It's not. It's like, method is not applicable, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to let us do it. No suitable method found for add int. So, pretty cool. We can only add strings. strs.add like, I should have a space, like, and then strs.add cheese. There we go. For int I equals 0, I is less than strs.size, and then I plus plus strs.get sub I. I'll say string s equals, then system out print line s. So this, no matter how big that is, it'll go through all of them. I like cheese and print it out for us. There's the numbers afterwards. I like cheese. And if I change this from print line to print, then there we go. I like cheese, and then I forgot to put a print line to start the numbers afterwards, which would make sense. So system out print line carried return there, and it should be beautiful. I like cheese and the numbers. Wonderful. So what is the point of generics? It's to restrict the type, and so you can use it specifically, really just like an array at this point. Before, with raw, you could add anything you wanted, but now I can add only, I'm restricting myself so I don't make mistakes. I don't accidentally add things that shouldn't be in here. And this is a very good thing. So you can have an array list of type anything you want. You just simply put the brackets, the type, and here the brackets and the type, and don't forget your little parentheses right there.